Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're so glad to be meeting you today. My name is Heather Flo. I'm one of the investigators for Rights for Time, and we are absolutely thrilled that you have joined the network. And congratulations to you for having your application for funding awarded. It's truly exciting to have read about all of the projects that you're doing and the amazing work that you've done to date. And we're just really thrilled to have you a part of our research network. We want to spend most of today introducing you to the Rights for Time team. And indeed, we want to spend the bulk of the time meeting you and hearing about your team and hearing about your projects and your aspirations for working with the network. I'm only going to spend a couple of minutes just giving you a picture of what the Rights for Time network is, and that will hopefully lay the foundation for our work together in the months to come as you start working on your projects, and we can look across everything that we're doing as a network and find some really exciting synergies and additional things that we could take forward together. So if you haven't been on our website already, we do have a website. Please bookmark it, and we're hoping that most of our communication about the projects that we're doing will be loaded there for external audiences to hear about all of the amazing work that you're doing and its implications for policy and practice, particularly with respect to humanitarian protection. This beautiful logo that you see here, we're very proud of it. Our partners, the Palestine Trauma Center, developed this logo. And as Nora, one of the investigators on Rights for Time, said to us, well, look at that, it's the Global South solving the issues of the global north, because the University of Birmingham developed a very bland, boring logo for us. And then our partner said we could do better than that. And they delivered this logo in under 24 hours. And it's truly extraordinary. We are very much a grassroots network. We have come together because all of us have interests in humanitarian protection. We come from multiple sectors. Some of us, like me, we're academics, we work at universities, but we're partnered with people who are doing work on the ground, improving people's lives who are deeply affected by trauma, conflict, violence that stems from generations, and that also is resulting in cumulative harms that carry on for generations to come. So we're all very interested, both ourselves as academics, but also our partners in their work as NGOs and CSOs, and seeing what we can do to work together. We, as Rights for Time, were awarded money from the Global Challenges Research Fund, which was and is to some extent a UK funding agency that's focused on delivering social and economic benefits to people that are in the so-called Global South. And so myself and my colleagues at universities in the UK came together with our partners in universities in the Global South to develop an application to apply for this funding that would allow us to award funds to people who are doing similar work throughout the globe. And that brings us to you. You are our first cohort of organizations who received funding from the Global Challenges Research Fund to do work that you're doing that aligns with our themes around temporalities of harm, and particularly looking at how conceptions of time, harm, conflict are impacted both by the delivery of aid, but also communities, organizations, where you are, people's own conceptions of time, harm, and trauma, and how we could take that information back to aid donors and governments to ensure that the policies that are being developed and the aid that's being delivered is not restricted, that it's not time limited, that rather it concretely and substantively addresses harmful practices that have deep roots in many instances in colonialism that perpetuate through present day, creating lasting harm and creating contexts in which people are vulnerable to additional suffering. And so through our work together, what we want to do is to utilize this whole body of work that we're developing in multiple regions, looking at conflict and trauma from multiple perspectives, and then sharing that and raising the profile of the work that you're doing and that we're doing here together so that we could see real meaningful change happen on the ground in terms of people's lives and in terms of policy and aid funding that really delivers and has long-standing meaningful impacts for people living in precarity. And so that's our mission in a nutshell. And we've been in existence now for going on 4 years. When we approached the funder, at that time we had 13 network partners comprised of CSO and NGO organizations, as well as 8 academics who are working at universities who all came together and said, look, we want to be able to do some initial case studies in the areas in which we as investigators are working, and then we want to extend it out. We want to do it through developing a lexicon whereby we develop new language about trauma and its deep impacts that is meaningful to people on the ground, that we could then share with policymakers so that they can have a more nuanced and more complete understanding of what is necessary when it comes to delivering aid. How are people's lives being affected, and how can they be supported? And we also wanted to make clear to policymakers, governments, large international aid organizations that communities already have solutions. And it's really important that we look at what solutions communities themselves have developed and work to raise the profile of those solutions. If we could also deconstruct those solutions to understand what about them essentially is working, we can then share that practice potentially with other communities and in other contexts in which people are in need of solutions or want to collaborate on different types of initiatives. And so we've been doing that through writing papers, through having online workshops, because we launched during the time of the pandemic. Most of our work has been online. So we've had a lot of online workshops where we've shared learning across the case study projects in which we've been working on as a proof of concept prior to launching our call to which you all applied. And we've been having podcasts as well to communicate those research results. We're nearly finished with all of our case studies now. We've brought on board 12 new partners, and that includes you, and we're growing. We want to continue to grow, so please do let other organizations know about Rights for Time, and let's work together to create a network that then outlasts us, where there's a legacy whereby others can then take advantage of the resources that will develop, the learning that we'll learn together, so we could find a way to then make sure that some of these valuable insights that we'll come up with together are shared and that they live on beyond us. These are the projects that you all represent in terms of regions. So you'll see that we're working in some really exciting locations. We've expanded to other regions. We initially started working in Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, Rwanda, and Kenya. And our case study projects come from those regions. But now, welcoming you, we've expanded our reach to many other organizations so that we could broaden our understanding of humanitarian protection to regions in which you all work. And indeed, through your connections and through the contributions that you'll make to growing the network, we'll expand to even more areas, we hope. This is really what we aim to be and what we are. We're a global network of academics and practitioners, that is CSO and NGO organizations. And we really want to change how people think about the delivery of aid, and in particular, humanitarian protection. And so on our website, you'll see examples of our case studies that we're undertaking. We'll be adding you to our web pages so that we could work to raise the profile of what you're doing. We will also put here information about shared learning, where we could go to learn about how to write grant applications, where we could go to learn about funding opportunities, where we can go to maybe develop further collaborations so that we can increase the probability of success when we apply for further funding. All of that is going to be on the website. And indeed, over the next 9 months or so in our work together, We're going to have a digital mentoring program whereby we're going to share learning that comes from your case studies, for example, as well as from our case studies, and have additional guest speakers that'll come in and sharpen our knowledge around research methodologies, talks about particular project findings. All of that's going to be happening over the next 9 months or so. And a lot of that communication is going to come through this website, but also through emails and also through Slack, which will tell you about the next time. Slack is a messaging program that we often use to communicate internally so that we could share documents and so we could have direct messages with each other to help each other solve issues and to share opportunities as they arise in real time. But more about that the next time. This is an overall theory of change that we came up with for the network. We started out in the left-hand side where we had a situation analysis that came about through our initial countries of focus, where we knew what the humanitarian protection needs were of our partners and the solutions that they had. We then applied for and obtained funding. That then fed through to us being able to fund activities. And we had a number of inception activities, including 5 case study projects, which were a proof of concept around kind of the theoretical issues that we're very interested in and the practical problems that we want to solve. And we then brought on board research fellows, 2 of whom are here today that you'll hear more from. And as time goes on, and who indeed have been leading the digital mentorship program, and in particular setting up brilliant frameworks for us to capture the learning the journey that we're on over the next 9 months in terms of developing these new research projects, working together to implement them, sharing learning across them, so then we can share that learning with the wider world so that people could see that there's real value of coming together as a network, working, even though we're in disparate regions, that there's a real value to sharing that learning in terms of how, number one, we amplify each other's voices, but number two, we learn some things that might be very valuable in terms of the insights that then we can bring back to all the particular regions that we know best. So you'll hear more about that digital mentoring program and more from our research fellows, who are really the ones that are behind the scenes, strategically and logistically making this happen, working very closely with Anela Williams, who is our senior administrator and who you've already had a lot of correspondence with. And she's done a fantastic job in making sure that as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, you know how large organizations are, they move very slowly. But Anela has been working very hard to make sure that you have the resource, that you have the funding available to be able to kick off your project in a timely fashion. So thank you so much, Anela, and thank you so much to the research fellows for drawing together a lot of the frameworks and activities and taking all the actions that have allowed us to get to this point and that are going to help carry us through the next 9 months. The next stage is this synthesis stage, where we take all the academic publications that we might do, all of the reports that we might do, the blogs that we might do, newspaper articles that we might write, thought pieces, opinion pieces, all of those outputs that you all talked about when you wrote applications for funding. We'll bring all that together and we'll do some synthesis. We also have a UN Peace and Trust project running alongside of this, where we're learning about how communities develop trust and distrust mostly with government entities. So you'll also hear some more about that. And we have a research fellow who's working on that as well. And that research fellow is hoping to pull out some of the learning at the synthesis stage. So you'll have some further information about that in the upcoming months if you're really interested in trust. Please stay on the lookout for the info and don't hesitate to get in touch. Then lastly, we hope in years to come, we'll have some real impacts on policy, and that probably will happen as part of the network's legacy. So I'd like to hand it over now to my colleagues who are going to tell you a bit about my old colleagues. You're my new colleagues, but hand it back to the colleagues that have worked so hard at developing Rights for Time and that have been involved in that inception stage and who have been working on case studies And I'll hand it over to them so they could tell you a little bit about their projects and introduce themselves, just so you get, again, the setting for the network that you've joined. Could I hand it over to you, Ben?
Absolutely, yeah. Abdullah, do you want me to do part of the icebreaker exercise at the same time as introducing myself? So do you want to introduce the icebreaker now?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. I'll hand it over then to Abdullah, and then please, if you are here on behalf of Rights for Time in the capacity of a case study lead, when you introduce yourself, just say a couple of words about the case study in which you've been working on. Oh, right. So over to you, Abdullah.
Oh, you're on mute.
Thanks, Ben. This is just a chance for us to get to know each other a little bit more by sharing our favorite food. Food is a universal element of our lives. Without it, we perish. And so we thought it might be a nice idea for all of us as we present ourselves and our projects to talk a little bit about our favorite foods. And so shall we begin, Heather, with the former case studies, or shall we begin with the new ones?
I'm happy to start. I'll take the hit. Hi, everyone. My name's Ben Warwick. I'm a human rights law academic here in Birmingham, which is in the middle of the UK. I'm originally from Ireland, and part of my role in the project has been part of that core team that started at the very beginning, but it has also been through involvement in the Lebanese case study, where we're looking at refugee policy in Lebanon and some of the traps, the time traps that happen for refugees in that context. My favorite food, gosh, it's a difficult one. I would say lasagna. Yeah, I like lasagna. It just reminds me of home. It reminds me of my mom. I think that's why it's my favorite food. So definitely not Irish, but that's coming out on top. I am going to pass the baton, so to speak, to Rana.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace upon you all. So I'm Rana Dajani. I'm based at the Hashemite University in Jordan, and I had an NGO in Jordan called Taghir, which means change. The case study that we're doing in Jordan, which actually the lead with me is Abdullah, and actually he's the one who's spearheading it. And it's about hiding time, and it's an exploration of the literary concept of the refugee and its many meanings in Jordan, and how that the terminology and lexicon we use, how it influences our frameworks and our mindsets, and not just at the level of the refugee or the individual herself or himself, but at the level of aid, humanitarian aid, and then government policy, and even wider at a global level. My favorite food, I love desserts, so I'm going to say I like pecan pie. And I now give it to Nora.
All right, unmute. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So Nora Parr, I am one of the co-investigators in Rights for Time. I co-run the Palestine Case Study Project, and I work with our partner, the Palestine Trauma Center in Gaza City. I myself work on Arabic fiction and Palestinian fiction, and have partnered up with the Palestine Trauma Center to sort of co-investigate and think around what are the sort of limitations that trauma research imposes on the definition of trauma, like what is included, what counts, and what doesn't count. And for both literary study and more practical work, it tends to be a crisis-informed approach, and we're looking at how we can change some vocabularies on those limitations. I think I'm going to be with Rana in the dessert line, but I'm going to go pecan ice cream instead of pie.
Who are you passing to, Nora?
Ooh, who am I going to pass to? I'm going to go Sophie, because Sophie is my digital mentor buddy. So I would love to pass on the torch and get to know you a bit better, Sophie.
That was unexpected. I was sort of waiting to hear several other names. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Tiende and I'm the founder of an organization called Azadi. Azadi is based in Kenya. It's a survivor-led collective that focuses on long-term support for survivors of trafficking. I'm in the midst of a transition right now because when we applied for this, I was the founder and I was managing Azadi, and I just moved and now I'm the CEO of the Global Fund to End Modern Slavery. But I really like this project so much, so I'm still participating because this is one of those ones that I've always wanted to participate in. Our project is a project focused on ethical storytelling, and our key thing is going to be to focus on archiving and what ethical archiving looks like for survivors of human trafficking. So one of the things that for us has been a key question was the project started earlier on during COVID. So during COVID, we actually started the project with survivors of trafficking and a different thing where we collected stories and we allowed survivors of trafficking to use photography and storytelling as a way for them to, one, describe what they were currently going through, create community, and speak about trafficking. And that project has continued for the past 2 years. And what we are looking to do with this is actually do an analysis of some of the work and data that the information that we've collected from the previous project and actually create an archive from the ethical storytelling project. The issue with like any other issue, most of the language around human trafficking and quote unquote modern slavery is really drawn from the global west, doesn't address doesn't center survivors, doesn't think about it. Like when Nora, that you're talking about trauma, doesn't have the language of trauma as survivors experience it, feel it, think about it. And the concept of the ethical storytelling project was always what stories do survivors of trafficking want to tell and what would they sound like? So our project is actually focused on that and I look forward to working with you. My favorite food, I love fish. I come from a community where we love fish. So my favorite, any sort of fish is going to work for me. But if you really, really want to please me, sushi would be definitely on top of the list. I will, because I'm here with my team who will be supporting me as a result of the transition. I'm going to just ask them to introduce themselves and their favorite food. So Faith, you can go next. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Faith Wanjiko. I'm the program manager at Azadi. I am very happy to be working with you and the opportunity to join the Rights for Time network. I will not go much into what Sophie has already said. So my favorite food is githeri. So githeri is a mixture of rice and beans, and then sometimes it can be mashed together or made into something that looks like a stew. Yes, so I will hand over to Lizzie.
Hi everyone, my name is Lizzie. I'm part of the Rights for Time network project on the ethical storytelling. Sophie has said almost everything, but my favorite food is pilau. It's a mixture of meat, rice, and some herbs and spices. Yeah, thank you.
And who would you like to pass on to?
I would like to pass it on to Anela.
Anela, you're up.
Hi everyone, I'm Anela Williams and I'm the Senior Administrator for the network. I deal with a lot of the, if not all of the admin financial stuff within the network. So you all have been emailed by me at some point. I joined the network in summer of last year and it's been fantastic. I love working with the network. It's been great so far and I'm really excited to see what these projects look like. In terms of food, I'm going to be boring and say my favorite food is potato, but anything with potato, I will eat it. I love potatoes. So yeah, that's me. And I will pass on to Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny Phillimore and I'm on the leadership team at Rights for Time. In my day job, my main job, I research asylum seeker and refugee policy, and I do a lot of work around sexual and gender-based violence and forced migration. And I've got a kind of role on the evidence task force at Rights for Time. I really love food, I'm sure we all do, and I've just been sat here for 5 minutes trying to concentrate on you and decide on my favourite food, and I realise it changes all the time as well, as I discover new things and go crazy for them and then discover something else. But I think I'm going to go with masala dosa, which is a fermented lentil, really thin pancake that comes with a nice spicy sambar little soup thing and some coconut chutneys, and it's stuffed with really yummy potato, so Anella would love it. That's my favorite today. Anyway, who hasn't been? Rana? No, you went. Chantal, sorry.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Chantal Edie. I'm a political and social activist, co-founder of the Forest Creative Loft, an independent art space based in Douala, Cameroon, vying for social change, social justice. Since 2016, we've been very focused on the Anglophone crisis, the silent war that's rampaging in Cameroon that nobody's really talking about. I'm a photographer, and I use photography and research writing to document this crisis. We're very excited, to be on this project because it really gives us the opportunity to expand, what we've been doing these past years. Well, I'll just go and say my favorite food is fufu and eru. It's pounded cassava meal, and with a very yummy vegetable soup, very rich with a mixture of different meats. I mean, Cameroon has about over 250 traditional meals. So, I mean, there's so many meals that I love at the time that I would choose that. That's my favorite. I would call on Aude Christemba, Aude, who's the curator for this project and the creator of the Forest Creative Labs.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be joining Right for Time Network. My name is Aude Christemba. I'm a curator. I work as an independent curator since more than 5 years. I started in Cameroon, and now I'm calling from Amsterdam, where I'm mainly based. And I've been working with the forest since the foundation of the space. Let's say that I'm a very empathic person, and I believe in art as a force of change, as a force of social change, change of mindset. That's why I've been really tied to, to this project that we're doing to the forest and walking through this world that, nobody's talking about. And it's every day sad to wake up in the news and found that things are happening and nothing is being shared, and people are being really impacted by the change, the war in the Southwest, but also in the whole country. And then I think I will move to something a little bit happier, food. Like Jenny, I think it's also depend on how I feel. So maybe now I'm thinking, because I also like potato, but fried potato. So yeah, I will go for that now. Thank you. And I'll pass on to Zinat. I hope I didn't mispronounce.
Zinat, are you happy to go next?
Hello. Am I audible? Okay, so thank you so much for passing it to me, and loads of learning, I guess, coming to my way through this project, like 9 months will be a roller coaster to learn a lot of things from all of you. You guys are doing wonderful job. In my project, in our project in Pakistan, we'll be working with 3 generations families. The title of our project is Intergenerational Transformation of Trauma and Resilience. So we will be working with families. We will hire them for like a whole 9 months, and we will have we try to have 3 generations in the family, so that we take all the learnings and all the advantage from the whole family, like the youngsters as well, the grandparents as well, and the mother father figure in the family. And the impact, the output we are looking forward is like early awareness among disadvantaged youth on the mechanisms and impact of trauma. Also the empowerment of youth as peer educators in delivering their messages, engaging youth and their communities in this project, and co-production between youth, parents, elders, in order to understand the intergenerational impact of trauma and youth and communities, what used to happen in the past, and what is happening now, how much difference is there in both the generations, or all 3 generations basically. So targeting both the genders will be a plus point in our project. It will be a benefit because in recent past we have done a project, and we worked with both the genders, like male and female, and that was a great achievement, I guess, because both the genders, like male as well, work with us in our community, because we belong to Pakistan. There are some cultural resistance, like cultural difficulties, I can say, that male do not work side by side with females. They say that we are superior than females, so that's a bit difficult thing for us to engage male in parallel. So if I talk about my favorite food, as I talk about culture, so it's like a biryani. Someone said plow, I guess. So the biryani is also same, like rice, meat, and some spices, but it's bit spicy. So we Pakistani loved it a lot. Also, foreigners who visit Pakistan, they also have it, and they give a positive feedback that they liked it as well. So hopefully we'll meet again. It is amazing to see all of you and the work you guys are doing. I also ran a small platform for females, that is Pink Space for females. So I started in COVID, and it's been 2-3 years I am working on that. So hopefully we'll meet again. I don't know if there is anyone remaining. I pass it to Zoe. I guess Zoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess me too. Thank you so much, Seenat. My name is Zoe Norwich, and I'm a reader in African and Comparative Literature and Visual Cultures at King's College London. So my research mainly focuses on cultural responses to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. And I often work through collaborations with genocide survivors, but also with Rwandan artists, and in particular writers and photographers. So the area I've been working on with Rights for Time was the Rwanda case study, and there we were looking at how participatory photography can be used to surface and share long and complex stories about discrimination. So in this case, we were working with historically marginalized people who were formerly known as the Twa in Rwanda. So the indigenous people and the community we were working with were in a very remote rural area, and we were looking at how working with cameras could help them to tell their own stories about the long past and how sort of more recent past has affected them, and also to speak about the present and their thoughts for the future. So we were doing this through partners. We were working with Richard Nakirutimana, who's also a grantee, but who I don't think is on this call. Richard Nakirutimana runs AIMPO, which is a Batwa rights organization in Rwanda. And then we were working with Jacques Ngizingabo, who is a Rwandan photographer and who runs the Kigali Center for Photography. So this was also bringing together NGOs and arts organizations and seeing how the two can sort of come together, and how the differing perspectives sometimes cause friction and sometimes are really generative. And on that project, we were also working with a very brilliant Kenyan curator who came in to project manage. And I think quite a few of you know her. She's Renee Akitilek Mboya. She's a curator and a filmmaker. So yeah, I think I'll put in the chat the link to the page on the Rights for Time network, because that's got a lot more about the project and what we found. And you can also see some of the photographs that were taken there. Thank you. And I will pass over to Kiki.
Favorite food, Zoe. Favorite
Oh,
food.
sorry. Favorite food. I love Thai food. So sort of green curry, sticky rice, pak choy, that kind of really sort of strong, spicy, yeah, succulent, juicy food.
Thank you. And who are you passing to? I spoke over you,
Kiki, I
sorry.
think.
Kiki, Kirsten.
Hi, this icebreaker is making me very hungry. I'm Kiki. I'm a research fellow at the University of Birmingham in the UK, working for the network. I'm part of the Kenya case study team, but I'm also working across the network on determining how we can bring the different projects, findings, and methods together and conceptualize and illustrate our contributions as a network for academia, NGOs, policymakers, etc. So I'm hoping to learn what the value is in all of us working together. You'll hear from me over the next month when it comes to subjects like the network analysis, Rights for Time's media presence, and impact-related work, all of which will be explained in future sessions. My favorite food, I would say pancakes, both sweet and savory, which means I'm excited for tomorrow because in the UK it's Pancake Day. I'm going to pass back to Heather to tell us a little bit more about the Kenya case study. And then I think we also have Abdullah left. And
I'm keeping a list. We've got quite a few left. So yeah. Heather, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ben. So again, my name is Heather Flo. I'm one of the co-PIs along with Rana of principal investigator of Rights for Time. We are very flat in terms of our leadership structure. You know, all of our investigators, we all have a role and have worked very hard to bring this network together. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the case study in which I work, the case study team, which includes Kiki, as well as a number of my postgraduate students, and most importantly, are spearheaded and led by the Wengu Konja Foundation in Kenya and the Survivors of Sexual Violence Network in Kenya. And what we work on is how we can use innovative approaches to document the violations that are occurring so that we could better understand the nature of the violence, so that we could communicate this to policymakers and ensure that vital services are in place to prevent survivors of sexual violence from being re-traumatized. And we have a number of research projects that we've been doing in this regard. And following Zoe's great example, I'll go ahead and put a link in the chat that to a page that talks a bit more about the research. All right, Abdullah, over to you.
Not yet, Heather. You need to tell us your favorite food.
Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. And it's lunchtime. You might have noticed I have a little one sat next to me. The kids are off school this week and they're eating right now, which makes it doubly painful. I could smell it. It's Chinese food. But my favorite food, I think I'm going to take the kids for Ethiopian food tomorrow. They haven't had Ethiopian food yet, and I love anything spicy. So I love awazi sauce and injera. I could just eat that all day. But any food that you all mention, all of it, I love it all. So yeah, thanks.
Abdullah.
Thanks, Ben. I realized upon reflection that maybe this was an odd choice for an icebreaker around lunchtime, especially for those in the UK. So we made, by way of compensating, hopefully, if we ever gather together to really enjoy the diversity of foods that some of you mentioned. And I'm keeping a list. So maybe if we ever get together, we can have a potluck of sorts and share our favorite foods with one another. So my name is Abdullah. I'm working on the Jordan case study in which we really think about how language and history play a role in conceiving of humanitarian protection. And we try to use resources from history, especially Arab Islamic history, to challenge some of the normative and universal gestures made by Western discourses. And part of my hope for this network is that we can multiply the ways in which we can reconceive of humanitarian protection from the vantage of the global South. In that respect, I also work across the network in various capacities. And I'm really looking forward to being a resource for all of you when it comes to thinking about how language and history might really allow us to reflect on the terms we use in understanding humanitarian protection, in changing policy, and in engaging in critical academic discourses. My favorite food, I have a short-term memory problem when it comes to food. So what's on my mind is what I had about an hour ago for lunch. And that's kusa mahshi, which is an Arab dish that means stuffed zucchini. And it's a dish that my grandma made. And so it has a very special place in my heart. and she's a little bit older now, and so every time she's able to cook, I really appreciate those moments that she can share her wonderful skills with me and the rest of the family. So food is intimately tied to family, and in some respects, I feel like we're coming together as a family for the first time, and hopefully we'll cultivate these relations in the months to come. I'd like to pass it on to, let's see, Sophie.
I think we've had Sophie, but not Sajida.
Hello, thank you. I was patiently waiting for my turn. So I'm Sajida and I'm joining you from Pakistan. I'll be working on this project with Zeenat. And just a bit about myself. So my background is child psychology, but I'm born and brought up in Pakistan, but my parents are actually from East Africa, from Tanzania. And there's a history of migration and there's a history of, again, trauma. And I think that's what fascinated me about this project, because it's something that has always been there at the back of my mind, intergenerational resilience. People talk a lot about intergenerational trauma, but resilience is something which I thought as a family, there's some characteristics which I thought, why is it that I've got these things, although my family has a history of trauma? So it's something which has stuck with me. And you talked about the Rwandan crisis. I think that's very close to my heart. That's one of the things which I've studied a lot, and that fascinated me and brought me into the field of psychology. There's a lot going on, but I'm really looking forward to working with you all, really, really excited. And like you said, a family getting together, hopefully. So when it comes to food, I would say that like a proper desi, which is an Asian, I like anything spice. So it has to be spicy, lots of potato, but also because we have African background, food cooked in coconut is something we really, really enjoy. So my favorite food would be kuku paka, which is kuku is for chicken and paka is for anything cooked in coconut sauce.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
So we have Martha left to hear from. Martha, are you able to go next?
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, I'm in a dark place, so as I was putting my camera off, but I'll just put it on to speak. My name is Masa Kazungu. I am the founder and curator of not-for-profit institution called Njabala Foundation. It was founded in 2021 in Uganda. And what we do is we facilitate visibility for women artists because Uganda and East Africa as a region is a very patriarchal place where women artists are constantly sidelined or even misrepresented when at all. And the project we were working on with Rise for Time is mapping women artists of the 1960s, which we think is a very important decade. But there's been a lot of erasure in which most of these women have not been written about and completely forgotten. And we want to really look back in the archives and understand who are the women then, what were they doing, how was their work perceived, and what's left today. My favorite food is sweet potatoes served with groundnut paste.
Wow. Wow, that sounds incredible. Should we go to Rand next?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Rand Baba, and I'm with Tamer Institute for Community Education in Palestine. I'm really grateful to have met you all now and to be part of the Rights for Time project. I guess our project is titled Where Does Home Go? So we're working in particular with youth in Jerusalem who are under house arrest from the Israeli occupation in specific. And this is like a method the occupation have been using in our 21st century in, I guess, a controlled society. And we are, like I think Odi said, as an institute, we work with art as a non-traditional form of expression and a way for stress release and improving the youth and the children's well-being. So this is our project. And as for me, I come from a literary background. I work as the community learning programs coordinator at Tamer, but again, I studied English literature and I worked closely with memory and trauma studies. So it is definitely with the youth that are placed under house arrest, like the home and the family become somehow how another form of a jailer or a prisoner or an occupier, and this is turning in your own home. So it is definitely something that I'm personally interested in, and we're going to be working with creative writing and well-being with those youth. As for my favorite food, I think this is an answer that most Palestinians give. So the dish is called maqlouba, and the translation is upside down, if I want to translate it in English, because after you cook it, you just turn it upside down. It's technically rice, like meat or chicken, and then definitely a lot of spices with eggplant, cauliflower, potatoes, and carrots. So it's a mixture of so many things that you flip and you just enjoy. I'm not sure who didn't talk, so I will give it back to you then, and thank you again.
That's perfectly fine. Aristide, would you like to go next?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Sorry for my English, it's not so good. I'm a Francophone. I'm Aristide Bokam. I'm from Cameroon. I'm happy to join the Right for Time project. I am a financial manager working with the team of the forest crops. I am an accountant, and my favorite food is sweet potatoes, especially the frying one. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And last but by no means least, we have Apio. Are you able to hear us?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm having a very unstable connection, but I'll try to keep the video on so you can see me. Greetings from Lira in northern Uganda. My name is Eunice Otuko Apio. I'm a social anthropologist affiliated to the NGO Facilitation for Peace and Development, also known as FAPAD. It's based in Lira in the northern part of Uganda. I am the principal investigator of our project with the title Film or Video in Participatory Action Learning, where we are referring to it as FPAL. And we're looking at the integration of children born of war in northern Uganda. We work on children born of war generally, and children born of war refer to people whose births are linked to conflict-related sexual violence. And in Uganda, born of war are in their thousands. And because of their provenance, they face a lot of stigma and discrimination, and generally find it hard to integrate into their birth families and communities. Our project FPAL seeks to combine and manipulate two already interesting approaches. That is the participatory documentary video, which we've already co-produced with 15 born of war in northern Uganda, and the participatory action learning approach. And the aim is to increase public knowledge and understanding, and to respond to the challenges associated with being a born of war. The project therefore aims at testing and evaluating FPAL as an effective, innovative methodology in addressing the legacies of conflict-related sexual violence on born of war and other groups, on the margins, possibly. Importantly, our project, the FPAL, will use a film already co-produced, like I said, by the born of war, in collaboration with academic and creative partners to facilitate a series of participatory action learning events and in local communities in northern Uganda. The entire set of activities will be moderated by the born of war themselves, and will conduct community screenings within a participatory framework and pre and post screening studies to trigger critical reflections and commitments to deal with the issues raised. We think we are being innovative. We think we are going to come up with a very important and easy to use approach, community-based approach, participatory community-based approach that will kind of help to drive forward our activities as NGOs, but also as communities that are confronting these difficulties linked to children born of war. We intend to have at least two peer-reviewed journal articles on the processes and findings, one policy brief, one short documentary, and a set of recommendations on effective public engagement in communities with strong oral traditions that we find ourselves in. About food, I think I'm quite excited to contribute in this area because I've just been working on a paper, peer-reviewed and accepted already, about on the active role of food in non-state armed groups. And so anytime, any day, you can ask me such a question. I would be happy to contribute. This time round, I will say that it's millet, especially porridge, with a dash of lemon. Give me that anytime, any day. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to learning together.
Wow. Just an amazing set of projects. I think, you know, we've got participatory, grassroots, creative, ambitious, really passionate projects as well. I'm slightly I'm unsure whether there's more passion for the food or for the projects. It's a bit equal for some people, I think, but it's been amazing to hear that selection of things. I'm going to pass across to Kirsten, who is just going to say a few words, hopefully, about the next session we're doing. So this session was really intended as the getting to know each other a bit, introducing each other. And the next session, we'll have to do a little bit more work, but I'll pass to Kirsten for that.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's great to meet all of you and hear about your exciting work. So overall, the mentoring is going to have 3 parts. There's going to be an individual mentoring part where every project team has been assigned a mentor who will support you throughout the funding period and help you clarify any questions you might have, think through timelines, whatever it is that you find helpful. These mentors have hopefully already reached out to you. If not, feel free to reach out to them, set up a meeting to introduce yourself and talk through your expectations for the funding period. We're also going to have training sessions. So today was just to get to know one another. The next session that we're going to have that Ben is referring to is on the 13th of March, where we give you a bit more information about the network, our principles, themes, foundational ideas of how the network was created, and hope that you will feed into what the network is about and how we can move forward together in redefining our themes, learning from each other, developing as a network. We're then going to have training sessions about once a month where we present our knowledge on a range of subjects related to humanitarian protection and designing, implementing, evaluating projects. So we're hoping that you join us for as many of those as possible. Then we're going to have a third part that is part of the mentoring, which is a network analysis, where we try to analyze what the value is of being a network and how all of us working together benefits us in our work. So the next training session will be on the 13th of March, and that will be to learn more about the network's themes, about temporal elements of humanitarian protection, and how you can use those ideas in your work.
Thank you very much. And Heather.
Thanks, Ben. So we have a few minutes left, and we thought it would be a great idea to hear a bit more from the new network members about what your expectations are about the network and anything else really that's come to mind after listening to all of the exciting projects that are in store. So if you could either show your hand or just jump in if you have any comments that you'd like to make about what your expectations are for the network or anything else.
Well, I'll jump in.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, with this project, we really do have high expectations. There is one thing that in this country that we, at the forest, we hold on to, which is hope. And, even though things are really going down, we hope that even a little bit that is a small institution or a small art space can give may go a long way to create a general, understanding of certain things, especially the things that concern at this moment the Anglophone crisis. Because, here we have, we have 2 communities, let me put it that way, the Anglophones and the Francophones. And the Francophones are a larger community. And the fact that they don't understand where this war stems from, it's making it very hard for a solution to be sought. So we at the Forest, we have conversation because we are, I'm Anglophone, Zach is Francophone, Old is Francophone, Aristide is Francophone. But at the Forest here, what we do, we carry out conversations with the people who come here, be it even the talks, conversations, whatever we organize, we always want to make them aware of what is going on, because we need to bring the spirit of family and community, because people need to feel the pain of others so that voices can raise. And then, for this war, for a true dialogue to be called for this war to cease, we feel that it's a war that can be stopped just by having a true conversation, on what the others need and what can happen, what can be done to put a stop to it. But unfortunately, it's 6 years going and it's getting worse. So we really feel that with this project, not only are we going to have this conversation just us here, but we're going to take it internationally and try to build a whole network and then put this narrative on in front, and that maybe it may echo in a way that it will call a true dialogue from the top, and then people can sit down and ask questions that could lead to a solution. So that's really what we expect. And also, because we work with a lot of internally displaced persons, we are hoping to give them a bit of comfort through therapy sessions, using arts and all that, and also obviously documenting and archiving the stories, archiving the whole Anglophone crisis, from the inception, which we think started from 1960. It's not something that started today, contrary to what people think. So, we feel that this archive that will be made, available for everybody would help. Just to cut it short. Yeah.
Maybe I can follow with Chantal in terms of, like just continuing your thought. I think one of just to say, Zoe, Renee is actually the one who introduced us to Right for Time. So hi to her. When I heard about the potentiality to apply and do something, make something possible for what we've been doing since 2020 with the crisis, I thought, already the title Right for Time is really important when we talk about trauma and also in terms of context and what type of trauma people are going through. And in this case, I think it has so many layers. It's a war now. We're talking about a war, but it's also, it's historic. It's history that we're talking about. And the idea of wanting to do an archive was, how do we make sure that we have different perspective of how the story is told? And it was also kind of to how do you say, to take another road of contrary to what is been given by the government. As maybe you might know, Cameroon was colonized by the German first, then the French and the English. And the whole transition from a space that was not Cameroon before to a space that became Republic of Cameroon was really problematic. And this is not something that is being taught to the people who are going to school. So the idea through this archive is really to, educate people about the different important date that really brought us to this 2016, when the people, the teachers and the lawyers decided to go to the street. And it's also to kind of create a space of conversation to understand what's going on. And I think, working with archive is something very sensitive. So what I would really expect from, because I know from the project that you did, you have a lot of knowledge around, like policies and also methodologies of way of working with people that are affected. because we are talking here about something that is still happening. It's not finished. So how do you, in this type of context, how do you work with archives and making archives of an event that is still ongoing? And maybe also like methodologies on how to create, ways of creating solidarities. The contemporary situation worldwide makes all of us busy. People are busy in Palestine, people are busy in Kenya, people are busy because things are happening in their own context. And sometimes you're so busy in your own context that you don't have the time to, how do we think of this globally? Because I'm pretty sure there's some, there's some connection, and I'm really curious to learn from what you've been doing in your own context, and how can we also learn from that and apply it to something that's still kind of recent in Cameroon. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to bring.
Thank you very much for that. That's really great. We'll note the methodological aspects that you raised. I mean, that's a really interesting conversation. I think a number of us here and that weren't able to come on the call today would be very, very interested. And we are at the point where we want to be thinking about implications for policy, and most of what we do is about immediate impacts and practice, but we do want to have longevity and funding by the government and donors to support the learning that's come out of these projects to ensure that they're embedded for the long haul. Yes, please. I see a hand up. Go for it. I'm sorry, I need glasses, and I'm not admitting that to anyone. So
I just had a short comment and a thank you note, actually. The comment is, please, on the flag, on the map, if you can add Pakistan, because we are so neglected. I thought I saw Cameroon, I saw Palestine, but Pakistan was not there. So I'd really like you to add it. I'm sure you'll update it, but Anila has been very great, so I'm sure she'll do that. Right. And the other thing is a thank you, which is the fact that your program is also offering mentorship, because a lot of opportunities come, but this is something which is rare and unique. It's something really, really great, because there's a lot of passion in what we do, but sometimes we get stuck, and it's expertise like you're all working together. So that's why we have called our project is WOW, which is Wounds of Wisdom, because I think it's a lot that you learn from each other's wisdom. And I think collectively we'll be wonderful together. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You know what? There is just so much darn effectiveness amongst all of us here that my slide, which does not have Pakistan on it. Oh, the horror. I'm so sorry. I've got collaborators there too. So I don't know what
It's all right. It's all right. Thank
Kiki
you.
has made this beautiful map that has Pakistan on. So apologies for my oversight there. But
No problem.
Yeah, you're on the map. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, please, Rana.
Yeah, I just want to say how fantastic it is to meet all the projects. And I wonder, Ben, if you could just flag which projects are not here today so that we can keep track of all of them. I know I think Iraq is not, somebody representing Iraq is not here as well. So that everybody, I don't know when next we will all be together in one room, so everybody knows what are the different geographies, as Sajida pointed out, and that we can please feel free to reach out, not just to the leadership committee and the different case studies, PIs, but also to the other 9 projects. Consider it your network, your resource, and I think in that context, to share the emails of all the project leads so that people can reach out in an easy way.
Yeah, we'll do. And we'll add everybody on Slack too, so that we're all DMing in the same spot and we could share news with each other. We'll have full, it's free to use this program called Slack. And we'll perhaps next meeting, which is on March 13th. That's the next time we get together. Anela, is the calendar invite going to be sent out?
It is going to be sent out today.
Awesome. So you'll have that, and that'll be the next time, and we'll talk in specifics, like how to get on Slack and in detail about the digital mentoring program. We'll also share the email addresses for people that prefer to share on email. And if you want to share your mobile phone numbers with each other, of course, feel free to do that. Communicate on WhatsApp if you prefer to do that. So yes, please do. It's your network. And who else? It's very exciting. Who else will be here by the time we get to the end of this? It's really just remarkable to think about all of the wonderful work that you all are doing that we'll do together. So I think I'll go ahead and draw this to a close so that you all can get on to your next meetings.